Howdy guys, how's it going? So we are out here on a very brisk and breezy day to take and open up this here Airborne survival kit. This right here is made by BCB, and this one come from MREmountain.com. I've had this for a couple of months and just hadn't got around to unpackaging it, but just like all of our other survival kit videos, we will be taking this out into the field and doing an overnighter with it. But I always like to take and unpack it, break it down, so you guys can get an idea of everything that is in these kits, what they look like, and then that way I have a better mental representation of the items that I'll be working with whenever we take and hit the mountain with this. So we got the tabletop out, wool blanket spread. So let's dive in to this kit and see what we're working with. So right here is our kit. It is completely sealed in this waterproof bag. Down there at the bottom, it looks like we have an expiration date of 04/25. There is the batch number. And then it does have a list of the components that are included within this kit. Here at the top, it has a conveniently placed tear notch. So now, for me, if I was going to be taking and opening a kit like this up in a real-world scenario, I would want to make sure I keep this packaging in the best shape possible so that it can be used for a water storage or collection. So I'm just going to take a knife and cut it open that way. That way we still have the pouch itself. And since this is sealed in this type of container, this would float, and I'm sure they designed it that way, this being an airborne survival kit, being something that would be issued to pilots or anybody that worked in and around aircraft. So we've got that. Probably have to leave our knife laying on that to keep it from blowing away. But then you have the kit itself, which is contained inside what I believe to be a nylon pouch with some heavy-duty Velcro. And it looks like the pouch also has like a Ziploc style closure integrated into it so that you can then close this up and this pouch also be waterproof for the most part. So yeah, we'll just start taking these components out one at a time. So let's see what we got right here at the very tippity top. Okay, so this right here looks like our fishing kit. And so we will be putting that back in there. But so here we have got a nice good amount of fishing line. This seems like a type of like bank line. I'm not sure if this says what the strength of this is. Gotcha. Well, that was very frustrating. The wind is for sure working against me. So it just has this listed as the NATO fishing kit. But they give you a good selection of split shot sinkers. There is, I forget what you call these swivel things, but that's a good way to take and connect the line, and so that way you can switch out your hooks and flies. Here is some pre-threaded hooks. It looks like we got two of these of slightly different sizes, and these will be coming in really handy for your freshwater fishing. Same with all of these. It doesn't look like we have any type of, deep sea type hooks, but we got some with like flies, and that right there, will help with attracting the attention of fish. So that's actually one of the most comprehensive fishing kits that I've seen in any of these survival kits. I'm just going to put all of this stuff back in place as I do it. That way the wind don't carry it away. Let's see what we got up next here. So here we got some of BCB's The Perfect Match wind and waterproof matches. So this is the storm matches, and it looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stormproof matches. Okay, now this right here looks like it is our repair kit, but it also has some of these button corner tie-out points. So this could be used in some instances for repairing gear or clothing. But what this is really, really handy for, and really the only thing that I would use it for, is if you have an emergency space blanket or some type of plastic tarp, whether it be you know, like a commercial grade bin bag, or if you was in a situation where all you have is even just your standard household bag, you can undo these and then push this button in down on the corners and turn those items into a very usable tarp, and you don't have to worry as much about those more delicate types of materials ripping and tearing as they would if you had to take and, you know, resort to making a natural button on the corners. But then also in there we have our needles. It feels like there is 2 large sewing needles with big eyelets. I'm going to leave them wrapped in this just so we don't puncture anything in the kit. And then the only other thing that is in this kit is this dental floss, I believe. Yes, so this is some like higher strength dental floss, which does make for some very decent sewing thread, and you have the added benefit of being able to keep up with your oral hygiene, because God forbid you're in a situation where you're going to be stuck out for a long period of time. The last thing you want to have to deal with is a toothache. But yeah, dental floss can actually make a pretty decent cordage, and can definitely suffice for sewing thread. All right, so what we got right here. Okay, so this right here looks like a large trash bag of some kind. So this is what would work, you know, in conjunction with those buttons. You could take and turn this into a tarp. You could turn it into a poncho. You have now a container that you can, you know, keep your trash in, because if you're in a tactical environment, I do think they could have went with a heavier meal on this, like, you know, at least a 3 meal. Ideally about a 5 or 6 meal bag would be better. But this can for sure, you know, be a good survival tool. I mean, it has a million different uses, and I want to see if I can get this thing folded back down. But from water collection, water storage, you know, if you needed to, you could just take and throw this over top of your head, crouch down, you know, don't suffocate yourself, but it would get you out of any inclement weather and help block wind. You can always take something like this without having to wear or compromise it by cutting a hole in the head. You could just take and wrap this around your body, underneath, you know, like around your core, and that will help retain a lot of body heat underneath a jacket. So a lot of uses. I'm glad they included something like this in there. I'm not sure if there is a emergency space blanket, but if there's not, that's something that I would take and have in here in place of this. Also too, if you wanted to get a kit like this and open it up, there's still a good bit of room, so I might take and actually put a one of my Titan Survival extra large emergency space blankets in there. Yeah. Definitely gonna have to work on getting that compressed down a good bit smaller, so I might not be able to do that. But I mean, that's why we do these unpacking videos, so you guys can see the realistic aspects of these kits and what it'll look like once you know, you had to open them up and use them in a real world scenario. So stick that in my pocket for now. Into these other components. So here we have what I believe to be a water bag, and this is made of some very, very nice, thick, substantial type of plastic. So we have 1 liter, so I'm sure that there's water purification tablets in this, so that means you could take and fill this bad boy up to your 1 liter mark and drop one of your tablets in. And it seems to have a narrow lip area right there so that it's easier to drink out of. This is one of the nicest water bags that I have ever seen in a kit, which is good, because this would essentially, if this was your only water container, you know, this could easily be the difference between life and death. So you want something that you ain't got to you know, be stressed about the whole time getting a tear or a rip in it. And I think this thing right here could actually handle some decent abuse. Okay, going in, here we have a thing of surgical tubing. This right here is really good for accessing water in areas that you can't quite reach with a normal size container. Like a lot of times if you find springs or anything that is coming out from rocks or from the ground, that water is normally going to be safe to drink, but you might not be able to reach it. So having something to give you a bit of an extension to where you could use that for drinking. Plus, with this bag, since, you know, that mouth opening isn't, you know, the most ideal type of lip to drink from, you could use a surgical tubing to drink your water out of this. You know, like if you had a very limited source of water, the last thing you don't want any out running down your chin. So these things right here can be paired together. Here we have some cotton balls. Oh, wind is not helping. So yeah, here we got cotton balls. You know, they can be used to make a fire. They're in their own little waterproof Ziploc bag. They're not impregnated with anything, so these, you know, will go up right quick, fast, and in a hurry. But if you add this to, you know, a tinder bundle that you've collected, or to other materials, you will be able to easily get it to go up with a strike from, or ferro rod. And this is the BCB ferro rods. Like, I've got a couple of these. You guys have seen me use them in content and videos. I had one of these in my Altoids 10 kits because so far they have had the most reliable button compasses integrated into the handle that I've ever used. You know, it's not an end-all be-all. Like, you're not going to be wanting to trek your way up Mount Everest from one of these button compasses, but for getting just a rough idea, and like an accurate rough idea of the general direction you're going, these will allow you to do that. So I'm going to leave that in its little wrapped up piece of plastic. But yeah, ferro rod, striker, you do get a bit of cordage there that you could use for something else, and then the button compass. Okay, speaking of that, I just noticed this down here at the bottom. So it looks like we have a BCB button compass that might be of a slightly higher caliber. It also has a rotating bezel. I'm not really sure how you would go about utilizing that, but anyways, that is an option. It's got you know, a flat base to it, so that you could position this on a map if you needed to. I mean, hopefully, if you you know, have a map, you also have a much more reliable compass. But like, whoever it is that manufactures BCB's button compasses seem to, you know, make a pretty good product. And then right there is the lanyard, so that you could wear this around your neck or dummy cord it to some of your gear. We got this, and I got to be honest with you, I'm not sure what this is. Oh, okay, never mind. So yeah, so these are, I've never got my hands on some of these before, but these are like pre-positioned brass snares, so they're already kind of tied off. I would personally rather have just a, you know, a larger like spool of snare wire, but yeah, you would tie these off and set this up so that it's all ready to go, and then, you know, the animal comes in and they get snared. So that's what these are. Like, whenever I seen this at first, I like the way that it was showing up in the bag. I thought that we just had like a oval shaped size of snare wire, but these are pre-tied snares. I like having the snare wire come in a coil packet, because then you can adjust the size, and normally you can fit a lot more snare wire into a kit that way. Okay, here we have one of those wire saws. The one that was in the BCB kit that I looked at a while back, the quality of these are actually really nice. They have like some aggressive wire teething on them. So I'm looking forward. This one seems to have a different handle design, so whenever we take it out, it'll be interesting to see how it performs. Okay, here we have the all-important signal mirror with some directions right there on the back. You know, you always want to have a signal mirror like this in a kit, because if you ever need to signal aircraft, really, this is hands down the best way to do it in the daylight hours. Oh, hell. It's like the 10th time this stuff started blowing off the table. But yeah, so, and it's got cordage around it, so you can also dummy cord it to any of your gear or wear it around your neck. Another very crucial daytime signaling device is a good old whistle. I mean, you guys know what a whistle is. I think in this case, I do wish that they had went with an orange whistle, because that right there would be very easy to drop, and with it being black, could potentially become lost. Okay, here we got a little pouch. And this is something that you always like a survival kit of this size should always include something like this. Here we have a fold-out multi-tool. Okay, and so the legs on this one rotate outward like so. Because having a pair of pliers, there's so many things that you can fashion using pliers, because there's always going to be trash and things of that nature around. So from being able to manipulate, you know, pop cans and water bottles and stuff, and having the leverage of pliers, plus, you know, we've got a little knife in there. We got a Phillips head screwdriver. We got like a file, and then like what looks to be like an awl. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, this thing is not going to take the place of like a Gerber, or in my case, I've been carrying around a Rhino Rescue multi-tool, and I always have one on me. Okay, going in further, getting down into the last few components. Here we have quite a few Oasis water purification tablets. So each one of these tablets purifies 1 liter of water. It looks like we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we can purify up to 40 liters of water. So this survival kit must for sure be issued to people who they assume is going to be, you know, probably out there for a minimum of a few days. Because, I mean, if you crash, you're going to be working on the old escape and evasion. So you would be needing to consume as much water as you possibly can. So this could easily cover you for up to a week of high intensity movement. And then finally, the last few things that we have in here, or sorry, it's a singular item. We have a large bag, and so I'm assuming that this right here is put in there so that you can store all of these components. Another way just to guarantee that everything stays dry and waterproof, and you can you know, have some form of organization for keeping these things separated and, you know, ready to be accessed whenever you need them. So, and you could also obviously use this to store water. You could use your water bag here to measure out the exact amount, like of 1 liter, until, you know, you filled this up with what I assume could hold 3 or 4 liters easily, and then, you know, drop multiple water purification tablets in there. And then hopefully you would also still have some of your other main types of gear, such as tarps and weapons and all of that. But yeah, that is everything that is in our airborne survival kit that is issued to, I know the British military, but I'm sure BCB probably has contracts with a lot of other European military groups. So you guys, there you have it. That is our airborne survival kit. I hope you guys enjoyed this little unpacking video. You know, hit me up in the comment section down below. Let me know how soon y'all want to take and see me take this to the mountain and actually utilize it in an overnight test video. The thing that should be coming up next is I want to do the smock survival kit slash, you know, first layer like gear that you would use in an overnighter. If you've not seen that video, go check it out so you can see the components showed up close and in detail. Just been waiting. We had like a spell of warm weather come through this past week, so that just kind of put a slight delay on some of the content that I wanted to produce, because I want to test these things out in cold weather and winter scenarios. As always, really appreciate taking time to watch the video. Please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you hadn't already, share the channel with your friends, family, anybody that enjoys good old outdoor activities and gear. I will link to this here survival kit down in the video description. Once again, this one come from mremountain.com. And also, if you're just curious about clothing items and things of that nature that I'm wearing, I'll also link to those in the video description. So with all that said, guys, until the next one, adios.